Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, what are the key things that you're looking for when you're creating a report in order for it to be most effective? Because we've all seen reports, we've all seen good reports, we've all had bad reports that just resulted in more questions than they actually gave in answers from the information. So if you're looking at the key aspects to a good or productive report, what would that be?
Okay, I guess that is a really good question, because at some point you can think that these type of things are quite basic, but generally speaking, you are trying to answer, like on a daily basis situation, you are trying to answer questions using dashboards instead of reports, or the opposite, right? Using reports instead of dashboards. So if you can understand the differences, you can also take the most out of your Salesforce functionalities. So one of the key aspects of using reports would be definitely the data analysis, because you will have, it depends, of course, uh, uh, of the amount of data that we are talking about, because probably your org has a lot of records, right? Billions, I don't know. Or probably it's like a tiny company. It's not a lot of data, but you really need to go further those records and perform like analysis. So basically, when you are analyzing data, you need to do a lot of things: grouping, using formulas, filtering that information, sorting, in order to put that information in a way that you can understand
Mhm.
and provide those answers. So that would be a key aspect for using reports. The next part could be like customizing things. Something that is really nice when it's about Salesforce is that when you are creating custom objects, the UI in Salesforce is going to ask you if you want to add that custom object to to be able to have that new object available for reporting. So you can start reporting on that new object since the beginning, or probably in the future you can do that as well. It depends on you, but it's most efficient if you really start like reporting since you created the custom object. And once you have that object already created, this custom object, you also can create custom report types. A report type, basically, it's a combination of objects. Yeah, for like the Salesforce jargon and IT jargon as well, we join objects basically. And also that is for databases as well. So we are going to put, let's say, accounts, the account object with contacts. But when we talk about accounts and contacts, those are standard objects. But when we create like brand new custom objects, we can do the same. And that flexibility provides us a lot of scalability, and we can like really scale even in our reporting, because we are going to create more objects, we are going to have more data, and also our needs of reporting are going to change and evolve. So customization is another key aspect for us. Then there is another aspect that it's really important to consider: the record level of access. When we talk about reports, uh, the good thing in Salesforce is that you are going to be able to see your records based on your security that you have in place. When we talk about security in Salesforce, you are considering like profiles, organization-wide default, sharing rules, permission sets. So basically, that is a really important aspect, because you are going to create a report, and some users are going to be able to see specific data, and the others will see other type of data, because the security and their permissions are different. So that is quite logical. A business case for this is, for example, when we work with territories. So let's say the territory A is not going to be able to see the information, the records from the territory B, and that is okay.
So we can create one report that could be used across multiple territories, and because of the permissioning, they would only see what was relevant to them. We wouldn't have to create a territory A and territory B report.
Exactly. That's an extremely good thing. And also we have security there, right? Because sometimes company, for strategic purposes, they don't want to have that information exposed between territories or among territories, right? So that makes a lot of sense for users and for stakeholders when we are working with Salesforce.
Yeah.
Then something that for me is not, it's important as well, but this can impact different type of things. Another key aspect is exporting. Generally speaking, most of the users need to export information, export reports. And yeah, you can do that using Salesforce reporting feature. So basically you have a button, you are going to click on that button and you can export in XLS format or a CSV format. And that's it. And you have your information already there. However, there are a lot of good aspects, really best practices that good admins need to follow, good administrators, basically, because when it's about exporting as well, you need to be 100% sure that the right people is going to export data. Because of security purposes, you need to need to be 100% sure of that information. Information is key.
Yeah, a couple of the takeaways that I'm hearing here that are probably a little different than reporting in other systems are obviously the data is the core of it, and it's only as your reports are only going to be as good as the data. So making sure that's there, but the ability to control via permissions and roles, both the access to data so you can more efficiently have a report that can serve different users in different ways, but also the controls around PII or any other company private information or confidential information needs to be controlled, and how you configure your ability to export. Is that fair?
Exactly. I guess that's a key point that, of course, I haven't mentioned. When you export, you need to be 100% sure that those powers are basically allowing to right people to be able to perform exporting, right? Yep. And another thing that you mentioned, Jim, it's important as well, is that we don't have to struggle a lot trying to hide some information to users or trying to create like a clone of a report in order to display different sets of data, or trying to do a lot of workarounds within the data, because you basically inherit security that you have in place in Salesforce. So that is extremely handy, saves a lot of time, and it's efficient as well, because probably you are not aware of all the permissions that you have. Generally speaking, that happens pretty often because you are not the admin. Because you can create, as a regular user, you can create your own reports, but you are not 100% aware of all the permissions and level of security that you have in your org. So this is something that it's extremely safe for admins, because the users are not going to be able to see any data that they are not allowed to.
But it just reinforces from a security standpoint those roles and those permissions and how they're assigned to objects and fields and whatnot. Okay, so let's transition on a little bit. I guess we were just talking about some of this before. Is there anything you want to comment on here before I forgot to switch the slide a minute ago, but before we jump into dashboards?
I guess that this is, sometimes like visual representations and images help us to understand pretty well all the functionalities and features that we have. So in a nutshell, a report can analyze your records. As you can see in this slide, you can analyze your data based on quantities. You can quantify based on amount, on ages like time, different type of measurements. Also, you can add charts within your reports. You can filter the information based on specific criteria. You can export, as we mentioned. You can group the information based on similarities. You can summarize totals, subtotals. You can count the records as well. Something that is really, really nice, but there are a lot of users that don't use this functionality. I don't know why, but it's nice that when you are using a report, you don't need to, let's say that you found like an account that looks kind of odd. You don't need to open in a new tab the account. So you have like an inline editing functionality, and you can edit in the report the record. So that's amazing because it saves a lot of time, and it adds a lot of efficiency to your work. And then you have the sorting options as well. You can sort based on, I don't know, alphabetical order and so on.